Though winter has come, the 8th season started super hot. We are not here to bore you reviewing what you've just saw on HBO. Instead, let's break down some of the funniest, weirdest, and most badass quotes from Season 8's pilot episode. Check if you've missed some epic hints in the dialogue. And mind the spoiler alert! Well, this pilot has one of the coolest dialogues, yet some of the quotes are pretty silly. It has been a long time since all the characters have seen each other, so they definitely had lots to talk about. The episode dialogue started with Tyrion's joke to Varys about freezing testicles. The important thing is that almost the whole tone of the episode is dark and suppressive, with the magnificent, yet overwhelming, gray and white landscape of the North. We know very well that White Walkers are coming, and death is breathing into the back of their necks just as close as the dragons have come. The landscape set this doomed tone, but we were pleasantly surprised when they started the most intense season with a joke, as if to show that there's still hope. Although, not all the jokes were that good, but we'll get to that later. So, the remaining Stark family are all back together. After all these years, Jon saw Bran in a wheelchair. The last time he saw Bran, he was just a small, scared boy. Now, his look and his character has changed completely. We witnessed Jon greeting Bran. "Look at you, you are a man," and he is taken aback to hear Bran's emotionless reply, "Almost." It won't be the last time in this episode that Jon is surprised by how his brothers and sisters have changed. From Sansa's warm welcoming, we are taken to the meeting of the houses. Daenerys had quite a few badass moments, including her iconic Dracarys or shutting down her counselors. But Winterfell now not only smells of burned sheep, but is set on fire with a big girl fight. Sansa tried to attack Daenerys in front of all the houses. She knows they don't trust Dany, and she tried her best to throw even more shade on her. When Sansa asked, "What do dragons eat anyway?" the mother of dragons gave her a badass look, saying, "Whatever they want," as if to assure Sansa that if she tries to undermine her authority again, she may very well become whatever they want. We love both of these characters so much, and it's going to be heartbreaking if we'll have to pick a side, especially now when the King of the North is the legitimate king, and not only of the North alone. But Sansa is not that naive. After so many seasons, she finally met Tyrion again. Well, it was a very Game of Thrones-ish family reunion, but the most important thing is one particular line that showed how much Sansa has changed. In contrast to these characters, we already know that Cersei broke her promise. Tyrion, who knows her better than anyone, did not predict that outcome, but Sansa did. As she said,
"I used to think you were the cleverest man alive."
Though Tyrion is much older and has endured no less misery than Sansa, he still made a childish assumption that the importance of common peace and wealth bothers Cersei. We finally understand that Sansa does not harbor illusions. And even if she is not a three-eyed raven, she sees much more than others do. She was the one who immediately spotted what is going on between Dany and Jon. But let's talk a bit about Jon Snow's other sister, Arya. Jon and Arya have a special connection. She was the only one who treated him as an equal brother when they were children, and Jon gave her the respect she deserved. It was a very emotional moment of the reunion. They had so much to talk about, but they talked about what was most important, their swords. We bet Jon felt Arya's regret and pain when he asked her if she used her needle. He could not imagine what she has been through, but when she said once or twice, both we and Jon understand that it means more than I wanted. Now, let's jump from Winterfell to King's Landing. Cersei's going a bit crazy, let's face it. The question whether she's pregnant is still debated, but we are pretty sure she is, because there's no other way to explain her mood changes rather than her hormones acting out. Cersei was super badass when declining Euron's intimacy, saying, "You want a whore? Buy one. You want a queen? Earn her." But Euron's arrogance changed her mind. And we are pretty sure her phrase, "I wanted those elephants," is going to be a meme soon.
I wanted those elephants.
For God's sake, give that woman a ticket to see Dumbo. Maybe that's the reason it has failed at the box office. Well, it does sound like a joke, but in fact, the elephants are an Easter egg for the book fans out there, as they were mentioned in A Dance with Dragons when we first met the Golden Company. The series obviously played the event out differently than in the book, but it was nice for the diehard fans to have a small Easter egg. And let's not forget Cersei had one more crazy moment. There's no better wording than Bron's quote to describe the situation. "That f***ing family." Cersei wants Bran to hunt down Tyrion and Jaime with a crossbow, the same weapon Tyrion used to kill his father. That's very symbolic and a kind of thing that Cersei would plan when the end of the world is coming. But we really hope that Bran will have mercy. Let us know in the comments below if you think that Bran will step down once he sees Tyrion and Jaime. Anyways, let's get back to some of the more touching brother and sister moments. Theon finally manages to save Yara but ends up at a crossroad. Go back home and help Yara rule, or go back to his real home and atone for his sins with blood. It was a bittersweet moment when Yara let him go and said, "What is dead may never die, but kill the bastards anyway." Plus, the quote sounds even more despairing when you realize that dead walkers are dead, and they indeed may never die.
What is dead may never die.
Oof, chilling. And of course, we had some cheesy love moments with characters flirting. Like when Snow said, "It's cold up here for a southern girl," and Dany smirkingly said,
"So keep your queen warm."
It's fun how Jon called her girl, but Dany used the term queen, as though one more time underlining that Jon does not care about the title, but it matters a lot for Daenerys. Later, when Sam asked Jon, "You gave up your crown to save your people. Would she do the same?" We already have this kind of sense that being a queen is much more important for the Mother of Dragons. Well, we'll see what happens next very soon. One more sweet flirt happened between Arya and Gendry. He teased her, saying, "I always knew you were just another rich girl." But Arya knows how to shut guys up, hitting back at him with a sharp response. "You don't know any other rich girls." Arya was just chill as always, though they had this kind of a special eye contact, making us all feel there's something going on between them. Some fans say it will be disappointing and a cliche if they give Arya a love line. But hey, the series is about tough life as it is, and love is part of a tough life. It's natural for people to fall in love. Let us know if you are rooting for Arya and Gendry. Arya also had one more badass moment with the Hound. Just one line, but it immensely contributed to Arya's grown-up warrior attitude to life. When the Hound said, "You left me to die," Arya clearly gave him an accurate picture of how poorly she treated him by saying, "First, I robbed you." Give us more badass Arya moments, pretty please! Anyways, one of the last and most impressive quotes made in this episode was Sam telling the truth to Jon. Both Sam and Bran knew who Jon really is, but we really felt some bittersweetness when Bran asked Sam to tell the truth, because Tarly was his real brother, though not related by blood.
Promised your mother he'd always protect you. And he did. Robert would have murdered you if he knew.
It was the moment we recalled all that Jon and Sam had to go through, both the fighting on the wall and behind it. That is why it was so important that none other than Sam said, "You're Aegon Targaryen, true heir to the Iron Throne." In general, since everybody was being reunited, we were afraid it might turn into some superhero pre-fight scene dialogues, with pretentious and catchy last phrases before they go in a fight, like in Avengers. Thankfully, they have managed to handle it well, though there was one moment that looked very unnatural. Dolorous Ed and Tormund accidentally bumped into each other, provoking an awkward joke, when Ed yells, "Stay back, he's got blue eyes!" And Tormund hits back at him, saying, "I've always had blue eyes." Seriously, one of the weirdest scenes in the show. Rounding everything up, there's only one thing left to mention. Strong dialogues undoubtedly build the atmosphere of the show, but sometimes the moments of silence have more to say. The very first scene of Dany and Jon arriving to Winterfell with an army was mute, but unexpectedly, it evoked great memories from the first episode. The boy climbing up the tree to see who's arriving was very much reminiscent of Arya climbing in the cart in Season 1 wearing her helmet. It was just 30 seconds, but it was enough to remember all the fallen Starks and the pain they had to go through. That one scene was worth 1,000 words of how sad we are the show is coming to an end. What was your favorite quote from Season 8, Episode 1? Let us know in the comments below if we missed any great quote from this episode. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to catch up on more great recaps from Game of Thrones Season 8.